not. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Mary Wieden You. Glad to have you along with us. Hope you got your umbrellas out there saying, take your umbrella today because it's going to rain. There was such excitement Saturday night. I don't usually watch the Miss America, that kind of pageantry stuff. I'm just not a pageant person. But I thought, well, I'll just check in and see what's going on. So they announced that this young girl named it was Annalia Holly won, and she was originally born in Ukraine. And I remembered she and her mother they were like the talent at a luncheon that I belonged to, a luncheon group. This was a few months ago. And this girl, young woman, she was 12, the first 12 years of her life in a horrible orphanage in Ukraine. And conditions were pretty awful. Anyway, she met these wonderful people from Mississippi, and they adopted her. And she has no accent, nothing traceable or anything like that. And so the woman who was my contact for this, and I'm sure that she doesn't mind my reading this, and I'll tell you, I'll say her name because everybody knows her, Barbara Travis, because I texted her, and that's Ashby Foote, by the way. And congratulations. We'll get to you in a second here. Okay. You certainly deserve congratulations. Anyway, I sent a note to Barbara saying how wonderful that we met this girl. And so Barbara had been with the family Saturday night in Vicksburg. Of course, they all went nuts when the girl got crowned, and she said that Barbara said she sent me the sweetest text telling me she loves me, Barbara Travis. And when everything kind of calmed down, she could finally go to sleep. And Barbara calls her pageant daughter, truly awesome, and hopes to become the first foreign-born Miss America, which would be fabulous. I mean, this girl, she's 12, I don't know, what is she, in her early 20s? Maybe she's here maybe 10 years. I mean, she's light years ahead of everybody anyway. Just an amazing, amazing young woman. And she certainly deserves to be Miss Mississippi. She certainly deserves to be Miss America, too. It would be fabulous.
Wow, what a journey.
Yeah. And Barbara, I know you're listening. I'm going to get into touch with you because you know everybody, and you've got to come on the show and just talk about everybody. So anyway, congratulations to you, Ashby Foote.
Thank you.
Where you were just like, yeah. Last time you were here, we talked about the irony of the election season began on April Fool's Day, and you didn't think the results were going to be known until Friday the 13th. Actually, they were known on Wednesday, but
yeah, that was wild.
4 votes.
That was looking back now at the whole journey for the city of Jackson. It was I have to consider it a gale force change election that we saw. There were 52 people that threw their hat in the ring to run for 8 offices at the city level, the mayor's office, and then 7 council seats, and so there were about 30 or so for the council seats, and then there were about 20 for the mayor's office.
At least one.
And so lots of turmoil, lots of drama, lots of
heartbeats.
Lots of political engagement, lots of yard signs, lots of knocking on doors. So I think it's healthy. So it's
grassroots activity was pretty good, wasn't it?
Grassroots, and everybody, they had a big turnout for the primaries, and the new incoming mayor carried a very powerful mandate at the Democratic primary with 75% of the vote. So,
do you feel that there's this feeling that, hey, we can do it, and you got to do it, and we got to do it now?
Sure.
Because what are we waiting for?
I do think that's right, and that's the important focus right now. Is it's fascinating to look back in the rearview mirror, but I think it's more important to look through the windshield here and make sure that we take advantage of this opportunity that's been presented by the voters and act on their excitement about voting in a way that's takes advantage of the momentum that's been created by the voters. Put it that way.
I think everybody they want Jackson to succeed.
Yeah.
And I think hopefully more of them want to be a part of it. There are people scattered hither and yon, but I think I see it as a city. I'd love to see the city unified. I don't want racial splits or any of that stuff. You are Jacksonians.
Yeah.
I live in we know that unincorporated area of Rankin County, so I don't have a dog in the race, but yet I do because I live here in this area, and we all want the best for Jackson. When you come together and and grow and be and do the best that you can be.
I agree, and I think there's a lot of enthusiasms around the metro area, not just the Jackson, but the surrounding communities that realize that if Jackson succeeds, everybody wins, and they all benefit from that.
Absolutely. You're the capital city of the emerging South. We are the only state that did not gain in population during the census and all that kind of stuff. Yes, we're getting businesses and all these things. I realize that. But you want to stand up and be proud. You want to be among those people. You want to be getting them, and you can be better than they are. Yeah. You really can do that. So, you got a chance to do it. I think this is your chance.
I think so. I think I've been impressed with the transition team that the Mayor-elect John Horne has announced, and got some really good people that are experienced in business, experienced in civics, and kind of things that make communities work. So I think that's a great sign, and we need to have. There's a lot of slots that need to be filled for the administration, so we can get off to a fast start back when we have the inauguration on the 1st of July.
That's going to be amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, do you know John Horne at all? I'm sure you do, to an extent, from his mayoralty. From his senatorial.
I've known him since I got on the council about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I've worked with him on a number of different things, to include the Blight Task Force. So, he's engaged and used to the legislative process. He's got a lot of relationships at state government, which I think is a positive, and has worked on a lot of different aspects, whether it's tourism, whether it's economic development. And so he understands sort of the blocking and tackling of government and from the legislative side, and hopefully he will get some experienced executives to help him on the many things on the as a mayor. You've got a lot of executive functions because it's a strong mayor form of government. So
and I think that this is the opportunity for the council and the mayor to get along and cooperate together and not be over here and over there.
I agree.
You absolutely have to do that. How many new ones? How many new members will you have?
Well, we've got a new council, Mr. Parkinson, Kevin Parkinson, in Ward 7, and then a new councilwoman in Ward 6, and I want to make sure I pronounce her name right here. Hold on just a second, because it's a three-part name. Hold on just a second.
Okay.
But I've talked with her briefly yesterday, and she seems really engaged. She was at the hearing we had with Judge Wingate.
Yes, what was that hearing about? And I should know, because I was thinking about this morning. I thought, well, that'll take a while.
Well, he was looking for feedback on the. Let me get this one thing.
The water.
Yeah, on the water, and the so.
That vexes me, by the way. Hannafin saying, "Well, we're out of money." What? What? That doesn't work.
So the new councilwoman for Ward 6 is Lachey Brown Thomas, and she has spent a number of years, I think 20 plus years, on JPD. So she has a law enforcement background, which I think is a good thing to have on the council for experience, and so I'm looking forward to working with her, and also with Kevin Parkinson, who's the new councilman in Ward 7.
His phones are already burning up with stuff. He's been on since he got it.
Okay, good.
And it's ring.
Yeah. So it's going to be. We've got 2 weeks to go.
Yeah.
And then we
already. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll have the inauguration, but then the meeting, we normally would have had a meeting on the 1st of July, but that meeting's been moved to the 8th, Tuesday the 8th of July. But the inaugural events will take all day long. It's
sure. That's fair, and I just feel real good about Jackson now. It's like, you got a chance, do it.
Yeah, and so everybody's, I think, wants to move forward, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. What are you going to start with Ward 1? Well, first of all, obviously you have to have an election of officers.
Sure.
And you could very well be elected president again. Who knows? We'll see.
I've been putting a list together of 5 or 6 things or more that are really that we need to get focused on in specific situations in Ward 1 that impact the citizens of Ward 1 that I'm going to present to Senator Horne or Mayor Horne in the next week or so he knows some of the high priorities of Ward 1 and
like what?
Well, particular situations where there's a sinkhole that hadn't been fixed. It's been there for over 6 months.
Is that on Old Canton? I mean, on Ridgewood? Is that on you? That's Ward 1. Ridgewood Road,
Ridgewood Road,
south
Ward 1,
of south of Old Kent. I mean, there's a couple. I always think I'm going to be the first car to fall through. There are two of them that are just really bad. It's like every time, it's going to happen.
So
yes.
Anyway, so there's a number of those, and just situations that citizens are frustrated about because they've been lingering problems that haven't been addressed, and the new mayor needs to know about those.
Well, all right. So some other things would be like crime.
Oh, without doubt.
Crime.
Public safety is still issue number one.
We know that the murder rate is down, but that doesn't mean the crime rate is down. I mean, we're happy that the murder rate is down, but, what else? What else you got?
Well, police presence is critical, and so I'm looking forward to the working with JPD and Capitol Police. And one of the things that I think Senator Horne mentioned, when I believe it was at the Rotary Club, that I was very encouraged by was he said that we have not had the incumbent mayor has not signed a MOU of cooperation between Capitol Police and JPD.
That stands for Memo of Understanding.
Memorandum of Understanding, of working with them and coordinating with them.
I thought they did.
I know.
Long ago.
So, I think Chief Wade and Chief Lucky have a good working relationship. But still, it helps to formalize that at the mayor level, and I'm glad that the senator has made a point of wanting to do that right off the bat.
I can't think of who it was. If it was the Senator Mayor, now I'm going to be calling him Senator Mayor for the rest of his life, but because it just rolls off. But somebody was saying that you've got to have economic development. You've got to clean up the city and make it attractive for economic development. Yeah. That's what you got to have. If you're going to grow and do and be all these good things, you got to have that. And so there's a lot of work to be done in that regard. Not just streets, but that's a big part of it. But
all those things work together. You got to have the perception and reality of safe streets and safe neighborhoods, and then you have to have for businesses to come in and try to do business. Then you have to have an effort to attract businesses and be business friendly, make permitting easy for businesses, be responsive to businesses when they have problems, and then you have to go out and not only keep the streets safe, but then clean up all the blight that has overwhelmed many neighborhoods across the city.
Don't you wish you had about 1 million Locke Wards going around the city?
Yeah, what a great guy Locke Ward has been. He's really a terrific example.
What do you think, Lance?
Well, and, my experience working in Jackson was one of my only times many years ago when we were doing the big Majesty of Spain and the big exhibitions, and my executive director, he was such a forward thinker, and he said, look, we're only as good as our volunteer pool. And we recruited so many volunteers and had a great volunteer director, but it might be an idea, just to kind of engage the public and find that volunteer spirit, because when everybody's buying into the same thing, it's a heck of a lot easier to accomplish something.
Absolutely. And I think that a lot of people in their neighborhoods, various neighborhoods, are cleaning up. They see, whether they see what Locke Ward is doing or see the possibilities on their own without an example, although he's a fabulous example, that makes such a difference too. It
maybe
really
some
does.
kind of award you
shine.
guys, maybe something you guys as councilmen can come together, councilwomen, and say, hey, all right, my ward and all this, let's have a competition. Let's create a trophy. Who's got the best ideas? Who's got the best cleanup? Who's done the most?
Lance for PR for the city of Jackson.
Hey, I'll do it for free, man.
That's a great idea.
It is, and we did give a resolution, I think, a letter of resolution to Locke about a year ago or so. But he still is a great example. And
yes,
and
that's a business now. I mean, it started off as one guy, and he's got what's it? The terminology. 401 or 501 or whatever.
He could benefit from some additional benefactors to come in and continue to put up some money to do the work he's doing and using the facility or the equipment and stuff that he can hire when he has a big job in front of him. And
I'll tell you something else you got to have. You got to have running water. You got to have water when you're washing your hands. You got to have water when you go to the bathroom, water when you shower. And now we hear Jackson Water's in financial trouble. What is that? They're paying the guy $400,000 a year. Ought to be some money. What is that all about? Do you understand how that works? Because that's crazy.
There was a hearing yesterday. I went to the hearing with Judge Wingate, and Mr. Hennepin was there, and we talked about that issue in great detail. I mean, the challenge, he's trying to raise rates again, and the challenge is the limited resources we have through, if people aren't paying their rate or their billings, Water billing has been a
nightmare.
hairball for the city ever
Yes.
since they came on the council 10 years ago.
Well,
Back then,
you can understand if somebody gets usually a $40, $50 bill, and then they get something for $500, $1,000. I'm not going to pay that. Come on, get it down reasonable.
right.
So
That's
the problem.
that's the issue we're dealing with.
Yep.
We went for a long period, probably 30 years or so, where billing collection rates were not up to snuff. They should be 95, 96, 97%, and they drifted down. When I came on the council, they were below 70%, and they're still about 70%. Well, that 30% of your billing you might expect a bill for $64 million, but if you lose 30% of that, that's $18 to $20 million every year that's not available to pay down bonds or pay the expenses of the different things you're doing with the water billing. So we've woefully underfunded for a long time, and now we're trying to make it up in a hurry, and so that's a real challenge. And it's sadly, if you just raise rates on the people who are paying the rates, it becomes onerous to the point of making it difficult to get for people to want to move to Jackson if they're going to have to pay 3 times as much for water as everybody else.
Yeah, and I saw a report here, and it was AI generated, and it says that reports of collection rates significantly vary from month to month in Jackson, ranging from below 50% to over 92%, depending on the month.
That's
kind of
all that is nuts. Yeah, that's a big deal too. So you got a lot of things to do, but if you get the people's heads together that we're going to do this, we're going to do this together, and we're going to make this a good city again, because it was a good city.
Oh yeah.
I felt have you heard me say this before? When I moved here, I said to Bert Case, I see Jackson going by way of Detroit. Oh no, that'll never happen. Well, years later he said, I see what you mean. He worked there, but he would go and do his stories. But one Saturday he got a real estate tour of his own, and he came home and said, "You're right." I said, "About what?"
Right?
Which I said 10 years ago. Yeah, it's going by way of Detroit. They're coming back. Jackson can come back. Ashby Foote,
Right,
congratulations again. You won it.
The upside opportunity here is really huge if
Absolutely.
we just get everybody to work together and focus on the future.
And we'll be watching it.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll be back.
All right, Mary.
Congratulations again.
Thank you.
And see you all after the 1st of July. How's that?
Okay, good
Thanks
deal.
a lot.
Thank you so much.
Well, speaking of light turning, that's so good. I'll tell you what, I have in the studio a beautiful bouquet of flowers. It's where a person would be sitting, and I have the person who owns the place where they are grown. Her name is Dana Nowell, and she and her husband own 12-2 Farm in Canton.
Yes.
In Canton. Welcome to Mary Wieden You. So what the deal is, you grow things that we can come out and pick, right?
That's correct.
And every flower that's in this lovely bouquet that you brought this morning is out in your yard.
Yes.
Pretty cool. What are they all? I'm not, I know just a few plants.
Yes, we have a huge variety. We've got sunflowers, zinnias, ageratum, celosia, marigolds, black-eyed Susans, cosmos. I put some basil in there to make it smell really nice. We've got yarrow. We've got, I think that's about it right now. Yes.
That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the garden mama? She must, I'm surprised she's not out there picking.
I know. She is wonderful. She's actually taught me quite a few things. So.
That was actually one of her songs, Green Man, that we play a good bit, and that was, they'd throw out a little garden and flowering song for you.
Well, the only other time in my life I ever saw a pick your own place was out from Niceville, Florida. Years ago, there was I don't know if it's still there or not. It was a daylily farm, and you go and pick your daylilies, but they didn't have the variety that you do. So how in the world, Dana, what is the origin of all this anyway? Somebody, either you or your husband, somebody knew a lot about flowers and growing them and stuff.
Yes. So
Or did
actually
you learn
we
it
didn't.
together?
We
Oh.
kind of we're just learning at this point. So my daughter really wanted to grow flowers. We kind of moved out to the country, and we were going to start a homestead. We got some chickens and animals and different things. And my daughter said, "I really want to grow flowers, Mom." And I said, "Okay, fine." I didn't feel like they were very practical, but I was like, "All right, I'll entertain you for a little bit." And I went down a flower rabbit hole, and I haven't come out since.
Wow.
So we've been starting to grow since then, and we just keep learning new flowers every year. We grow tulips in the spring, and then we have all these summer flowers right now, and then we've got dahlias that are coming in the fall.
Mums, you have mums for the fall too?
We don't grow mums, so most of what we grow are things that you can cut you would put into a vase.
Oh.
So things that you would use in your landscape, that kind of stuff. We don't really grow those types of flowers.
Okay.
yet.
So, but you can grow things year round.
Yes.
So you have, so you got dahlias for the fall. What about the wintertime? What's coming up there?
We actually actually do a lot of dried flowers. So during the summer when our production's huge, we start taking some of those and dry them, and then we can do dried flower wreaths, dried flower arrangements on pumpkins. We had a dried flower class last February, so near Valentine's Day when we didn't quite have fresh flowers yet, we were making things with dried flowers.
And when do you start planting?
We pretty much plant year round.
Well, yeah, because there are bulbs that,
There's bulbs in the fall. We also overwinter a lot of flowers. Mississippi's great because it's not too cold in the winter, and so you can overwinter things like snapdragons and yarrow and perennials that will come back every year. So we're planting them in the fall.
Are they out in so it's 1 acre? So they're out in the acre. You don't bring them into a greenhouse.
No, we do
cover them.
We do cover them. Yeah. So if the temperature drops below, depending on what
30
flower it is, exactly. Yeah, around 30 degrees, we'll go through and cover them. We have hoops, and then we just cover them with some frost cloth. But this past January, we did just get a greenhouse, so we got approval for a grant for that, and so now we have one. So that'll extend what we're able to do.
Do you? So do you plant from seeds?
We plant everything from seed. Yes.
I mean, the whole thing is
the whole thing.
It's like a really. You never knew when you were growing up you were going to do this, did you?
I did not.
This wasn't in your plan book.
It was not in my plan book. No. I think for us, it's we just love bringing people out into nature and getting them out into the farm, getting them to see where things are from. We don't grow food, but we grow flowers, and you can grow flowers locally. You don't have to get them shipped in from other countries. And so giving people an opportunity just to be outside, and we have a pond and a sunset view, and so we kind of curate different spaces for people to come and really enjoy being out in nature.
So when you plow, do you use a donkey or a horse? I mean, use a machine.
We do actually have a machine, yes.
Yes.
Although I think my daughter would like to have a horse with a plow.
That daughter. Yeah, we were talking before the show. She has a daughter who wants a Pasofino.
Yes.
And I know a little bit about them, having ridden them. And if you don't know about Pasos, well, they're the strongest little horses in the world, but you think you're killing them when you ride because they have a very staccato. They don't have a long reach. That's what they sound like in shows. The owners want to show that to judges how.
Yes.
But when you're on one, it's like, I'm killing this horse, and you're not.
Yeah.
But anyway, use it. Okay, so you do that, or your husband does it?
I do all of the farming pretty much. My husband has a full-time job. He does help with different infrastructure. So if we need something to be built, he's built a composting toilet. He's built a chicken tractor. He's built tables and chairs and different things. So
he'll be building a horse barn before
right.
Don't have one. Well, so you grow from seeds?
Yes.
What brand do you use?
We love Johnny's seeds. They're online. Anybody can kind of go online and buy those seeds. Obviously, we're buying by the thousands, but you can buy 30 seeds at a time if you want. Baker Creek is another really good variety of seeds. Also online. Lots of different heirloom varieties. They're really good for vegetables as well.
How about burpees? And I have a reason for asking about that.
Okay.
Do you like burpees?
I haven't used those typically.
Well, my great-grandmother, who I never knew, up in Michigan, Northwest Michigan, was a burpee. However, not close enough to be in on the money, darn it. But anyway, that's just all I heard, that she was a burpee from up there. I think the burpees were from, I don't know, Nebraska or someplace like that out there. But her people, so be my great-greats, were landed in northern Michigan for some reason, and so my name could have been Mary Burpee. But it's not. But anyway, they are good seeds, aren't they?
They are, yes. Typically, we're looking for something that's a little more higher end and more unique. Not that they're not good flowers. You'll see them in the grocery stores and that sort of thing. And I definitely recommend if you're starting out, trying to learn how to grow something, grab those and have fun. They're a little bit cheaper. We grow specifically for cut flower. So we want the specific type of sunflower that you can then cut and put into a vase. If you're going and getting a burpee, they're not necessarily 100% best for cutting, but you can enjoy them in your yard. So
I don't know that we ever used them, but my mother was a flower person, but I don't know whose seeds that she used. By the way, so everybody, this is Dana Nowell. You can call her up at 888-808-8637 if you would like to ask her a question or have a comment. You can text at 601-879-4395, and during the break, I'll get the text line pulled up because I don't know which thing I'm supposed to push. But if we get something, Lance will get it. I don't know. Sometimes, Lance, I can hit this thing just perfectly, but now I've gotten all into.
We did have one very good comment about the Belhaven has a quarterly cleanup days, and they have a great turnout every time. So I did want to mention that.
Okay.
That's a very nice little piece of info to know.
Yes, talking
So
about
the more of that you have, the better it'll be.
Sure, talking about Jackson, because we all got a lot of hopes on Jackson.
Absolutely.
And we'll be watching them. And did you ever live in Jackson, or were you pretty much not?
I've never lived in Jackson. Well, when I first moved here, I lived in Jackson for a couple of years, but I've been in Rankin County, and now I'm in Madison County. So I've kind of been all over.
She was California girl.
That's right.
Yes. And me, Michigan. So here we are. But I wouldn't want to be back up there. I mean, I just, don't have a desire. And I don't think you'd want to be, it depends on where in California. But
I do not want to go back to California. I love Mississippi.
Yeah, it's home. I mean, it's more than I've lived any place else in my life anyway. And it has everything that we need except for ski slopes.
That's right.
Other than that,
We got Woodall Mountain up there, but it doesn't get a whole lot of snow.
I don't think you can go ski. There was a rumor some years ago that there was going to be that somebody from Saudi or somewhere like that, Arabia, was going to build a year-round indoor ski ramp, which would have been pretty great. Although
They're building one in Saudi Arabia now with the line.
Well, they have these, the practice things. I don't know who's got them, but it's a pretty good ramp, and so you practice your, like this. You can do that. But anyway, so you couldn't necessarily grow these things in California necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Some of them you could.
Right. They definitely have. It's interesting how the climates work. So in zones, when you talk about gardening different things. A lot of California is the same zone as Mississippi, but it's very different temperature. We're getting more humidity. They're not really getting the humidity. Our temperature gets colder in the winter than California ever does. And so there's different ways you have to kind of, work around all that to figure out when you should plant in Mississippi. And things that do work well in California are not going to work here, and vice versa. So you have to kind of work through that.
How do you, when you're raising such a variety too, and how do you deal with we've had so much rain this year. I mean, we have like 7 more inches than we usually get. How does that affect, does it make them grow? Does it make them, fade or pout or whatever?
Yes, I definitely have some pouting flowers right now. There's certain flowers that they don't like wet feet is what they're called, and so we have a whole row that's just died out, unfortunately. So we just have to kind of start over and plant something else that does work better. Sunflowers and zinnias are really resilient. They pretty much can last through anything. So I kind of have to plan that out depending on which rows get a little bit wetter than other rows. Sometimes I'm gonna have to make raised beds, so something like a dahlia that needs that good
See, you didn't know
soil.
that. You never had any idea about that stuff, did you? It's like, surprise. What a wonderful surprise.
It's been wonderful. I just love to learn. So it's been a good learning experience for me of constantly learning a new flower. You learn one flower and it's completely different than another one.
Well, I have 2 learning questions for you.
Great.
First and foremost, from the text line, best place to buy good bulbs. Do you have a preferred spot around?
So I tend to not buy a lot of local things, unfortunately. Although if you're going somewhere locally, definitely go to like Rivers, Greenhouse, Callaway. Yeah. So local places are going to be the places that are going to have the things that grow well in Mississippi. Unfortunately, the big box stores, they don't really know what grows well, and so they just get the big shipments of whatever, and they sell it.
Yeah, you ask them, where is something? And they go, duh.
Yeah.
Over there somewhere.
They're not getting it in at the right time. Like, really, we should be planting a lot earlier than a lot of the times that the big box stores get their shipments in. But I love Leo Burby is where we order our tulip bulbs, and we're hoping to get into where we're able to buy a large amount, and then we can then help people out that are local, especially with tulips, because they're really tricky to grow here, but we can grow them.
Really?
And so that's something that we would love to be able to teach people. But that's my recommendation for bulbs. Looking online definitely has some places.
The other question I had, I'm a terrible gardener. I can grow stuff and all that, but over the years, I had some friends. They were generally older ladies in North Mississippi that would give me bulbs from all over. And when I had to leave, it broke my heart because I had so many great bulbs, that I had inherited from irises to tulips and all that, and my yard was just beautiful. But if somebody's wanting to start, and where did they start? How do they start growing beautiful cut flowers? That's something Nellie and I talk about a lot, and they're so amazing. How do you get to that point where you dig the hole and you plant the seeds and get it going? What do you do?
Yeah, so there's a lot of resources around here, and Nellie would be able to be a great one to teach you about that. Dana Nowell is local. She has a group called the Flower Growers of Mississippi, and she teaches different people how to grow. I actually went through her certification course 2 years ago, so I got certified as a cut flower farmer through her program, and that's kind of where I started. Now I love to teach as well, so we offer classes at our farm. We don't have bulb classes yet, but we do offer classes for seeds. So learning how to grow from seed, we'll teach you some of the basic ones, the ones that are easy to start with, so we can get you off on the right foot. So we'll teach you how to grow the basic flowers and kind of take you on from there. But I learned a lot on YouTube, honestly. There's a lot of good free resources out there. And there's just, So I would recommend Flower Growers of Mississippi is a great resource. Nellie knows a lot about that. And if you're looking for something that's local, I just need somebody to show me step by step how to do it, we would love to have you come to our farm. We'll do that in the springtime.
We'll get to that because we all will have the ability to go out to 12 to Farm. I'll tell you about the title of it, too. She'll tell you that. And pick your own, which is so cool that you can do that. Make your own things of beautiful cut flowers. And we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. It's Mary Wieden You, and it's Dana Nowell from 12 to Farm, and we'll be right back. Back with Mary Wieden You. Dana Nowell is here with 12 Farm out in Canton. First of all, the name.
Yes. I got a lot of questions.
There's a great story about the name.
Yeah, so it actually stands for 2 Bible verses. So we have Romans 12:2 and Hebrews 12:2. And both of those talk about, one of them says, fix your eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of your faith. And the other one says, do not conform to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So when we first started this farm, trying to figure out a name for it, I just knew.
How long ago was this, by the way?
This was 4 years ago now.
Oh,
so it's still pretty new.
Young at this.
Yes. So we knew that we just wanted the focus to be more on the land and people coming out and enjoying it and not necessarily the flowers. We also didn't know if we were just going to do flowers. We thought maybe we'll do blueberries, maybe we'll do pumpkins, maybe we'll have some other activities. So far, it's been a lot of flowers only. It's taken up quite a bit of time with the flowers. But so those verses just help us to kind of focus on what the purpose of our farm really is, and that is to bring people out in nature, get them in God's creation, host them really well. We know Mississippi's a great state for hospitality, and my husband and I just enjoy that, and so we want to host people really well and love on them and welcome them and give them an opportunity to come out to the country. A lot of people don't have land, they don't have a space to interact with animals or, enjoy seeing the stars at night, and so we have that, and we just felt called to be able to share that with people.
Pretty wonderful. So people can come and pick their own flowers. Explain how that works. That's awesome.
Yes. So we typically have reservation systems. So people will purchase a reservation and it's per cup. So if you want to bring an entire family and buy 1 cup, it's a great kind of budget deal if you wanted to do that. Or everybody can buy a cup of flowers if they want.
What about if I come with some vases like the size of that, if I want to fill my vases?
So this would probably be about 2 cups of flowers.
Oh.
Yeah. So we can give you the cups and then we give you the water in there for you and give you the snips, and you come and just pick whatever you want. You can fill the cup however full you want to fill it. Enjoy. You can pick. I had a lady the other day that came and she got all pinks and purples. And so she had kind of already curated her cup before she even left. But most people just come and they have fun. They pick
grab their flowers. Oh, I like this. I like that. You put things together. You just pick and pick and pick. And it's amazing the things you can do.
Yes.
You just put things together at random, and all of a sudden it looks like something. Like, ooh, how'd you do that?
Right.
Yeah. Oh, I just have this knack, right? But that's wonderful. Does it cost anything?
So it's $25 per cup. And
you get a lot of stuff in a cup.
You can get a lot of stuff in a cup. Exactly. And so really for us, it's more, yes, you can go home and we want you to have good flowers to then put on your table and last. Typically fresh flowers will last 1 to 1.5, even 2 weeks sometimes.
Wow.
You're getting the flowers from the grocery store. They've already been shipped. They've been packaged. So they're not going to last as long. Here, you're cutting it just like a fresh tomato or a fresh, head of lettuce or something. So you're getting fresh flowers. They're going to last on your table for your event, whatever. We have people that buy buckets of flowers for events. Some lady actually just came last week and she went to all the local flower farms and bought buckets from all of us and had an event for her daughter. It was wonderful.
Well, that's great. Do you suggest that people put anything in the water to keep them last longer, like they do it already cut the forever?
Right.
Do you put anything in there, or do you just?
So we recommend you can do like a little bit of sugar and lemon juice. We try to do as much natural things as possible. So that's what we would recommend. But you can there's little packets as well, and you can get those. We typically say, for what we do, I don't ever use the sugar or lemon because they last long enough that I need them for. But definitely always change the water out. So you go home, you've got them cut, you're putting them on your table or whatever. Go 2 days later, snip the bottoms of the stems again.
Snip them on an angle?
Mm-hmm. Snip it on an angle and then refresh the water and you're good to go. Don't put them near oranges or fruit, and then don't put them in direct sunlight. So once you've cut them from the stem, you want to kind of keep them away from the direct sun and keep them away from fruit. So.
Is that as opposed to things that come in pots that you may have to put
right
in the sun.
If it's still
Like
living,
that.
if it's in a pot,
Yes,
you want it in the
you
sun.
want it in the sun, but
Once,
this you don't.
Yes, once you've
I
cut
never
it from
knew
the
that.
plant, you want it away from the sun.
Wow. Do you grow poinsettias, by the way?
We don't.
Now that's another whole.
Right.
Now that's another whole. That's a tough one. How do you take care of weeds?
Yeah, so we try to do as much natural as possible. So we're hand picking weeds. It's definitely a chore.
Yes.
But what we try to do is we weed as hard as possible, and then we cover with pine shavings. So we're using a natural mulch system. And once you do that, usually twice a season, the flowers will start growing so tall that they kind of shade out any weeds that will pop up.
I need buckets of that stuff.
Well, and as Garden Mama will say, a weed is really it's in the eye of the beholder. So some people go, well, I like that, and
Well, I love that little Johnson grass coming up in my bushes.
you love it,
those little spiky. They look so pretty. Ugh.
And we do the first year I couldn't control the weeds. I said, y'all just pick the weeds too. Have fun. And people will pick. Some of them are pretty. So if it gets out of control, we don't bother with it too much, and we just let people pick the weeds if they want.
Wow.
One question for you. What is your favorite flower to grow on your farm?
Oh, that always changes. Everybody asks me.
Today, then. Yeah.
Today would probably be the Queen Lime zinnias, and so they're a different.
Are they in here?
Yes.
So we got, okay, your camera can get that because it's like a person camera. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, there it is. Oh, isn't that pretty? Or is it on which camera do you want? On my?
I can see it. I can see it on both of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So they're just a
lime
unique
color.
They're a unique variety of zinnia that most people haven't seen, and so they're still really
Wow.
easy to grow because they're zinnia, but they just kind of, I think they shock people because they've never seen a zinnia that color before. So.
The best plant for is the marigolds that are the ones that get rid of bugs, or bugs don't like them, or what's the deal? I mean, that would be
Yes.
great. That's a great flower to have.
Marigolds deter deer, they deter bugs, they have a very distinct
Oh,
scent.
About the deer where you live, how do you deal with those? I mean, they're pretty, but get the heck out of my yard.
Yes, so everybody asks that, and we right now do not have a deer problem. I know, I keep saying that. We do have 2 dogs. We have 2 farm dogs that roam around and kind of protect things. We also, I think because they have enough land in the country that they can kind of keep to themselves out in the woods and everything, we don't tend to have a problem with deer. Most people that come that want to learn how to grow flowers, they're in a neighborhood. They have deer right behind them. I mean, they're just decimating the flowers, unfortunately.
Yes. And I guess they do tomato cages or whatever they use. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely recommend the marigolds. There's some other stuff that you can spray, I think, that has a scent, and that kind of deters the deer. I don't know what it's called because we don't have to use it. We don't have that
That's
problem.
wonderful. So. You know how lucky you are. I mean,
I'm very lucky.
Gosh, I have not seen any in my neighborhood, but they're around. I mean, they're plenty around, and I have to be very careful. You know how the reservoir is. You have to be careful at night, because and of course, if you go up the trays in the daytime, they're just standing there looking at you, waiting for you to get them. They're so prolific, and so are coyotes. By the way, now, they're not going to bother flowers, I don't think.
No,
but there are a lot of. Do you have coyotes out by you?
We do, yes, and so we have little animals, so we've got to keep those guys out. But luckily, like I said, we've got some farm dogs that are doing pretty good at their job.
They take care of the coyotes too. Wow. And what other critters do you have that you have to get rid of? Do you get any critters that are flower eaters? The little underground moles or voles or whatever?
Yes, so we have, and we've got cats for those. We typically have a good natural solution for any issue.
I like
that we
the way
might
you
have.
think.
Yeah, that is great.
Yes,
Okay.
so we do have moles and voles. We also sometimes lay down just a wire, and so tulips specifically, we have to lay down a wire underneath our bulbs, and then we put our bulbs on top so that nothing can come up underneath the ground and try to dig the tulips out. And so that was learned real quick the first year.
Now, did you learn that on YouTube or?
I did.
Well, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, there's another farm that has done tulips before, and so she posted a video that talked about that, and so I took her advice.
A layer of wire, then your dirt, and
Yes.
then your bulbs.
And the bulbs, yep, and then just pile dirt on top, and then
you're good to go.
good to go.
Amazing. Wow. What about owls? They don't pick on flowers, I don't
No,
think.
they
Too
don't.
bad.
The only other thing that we have,
Squirrels.
yeah, we don't really have those types of critters, just aphids, different types of bugs. Typically, we'll have, if we needed to, we would bring ladybugs in. I haven't had to bring ladybugs in, but you can purchase ladybugs and put them on your garden, your flowers. Luckily, the ladybugs know where the aphids are, so we've just had ladybugs arrive at our farm. And
Wonderful.
so they just take care of the aphid problem. Stink bugs are a little annoying. They don't tend to really bother the flowers, but they just kind of get up in the space, and so I kind of have to deal with those a little
That's
bit.
fascinating. Well, I can't remember. I was online for something not so long ago and came across ladybugs being a most prolific, maybe.
Yeah, you can buy them by
bug
the
around.
box.
Well, yeah, and then I found out you can buy them.
Yes.
I mean, I always thought they were just, that they just occurred. I didn't realize you can buy them.
Yes.
Yeah,
so if you have an aphid problem, and you have to have enough, though, because the ladybugs they need something to eat, and then they'll leave. But if you have enough aphids, you get some ladybugs, put them on your garden, your farm, whatever you're doing, and they'll take care of your problem.
How about bees and stuff like that? How are they okay? I mean,
They're great. Obviously, they love us.
Oh.
We do have wasps, which are pollinators, and those are a little tricky just because we have people come to our farm. And so we have to just be cautious about that. And we just say, watch out for those guys,
I made friends with a bumblebee I guess it was in the fall. For some reason, I saw him like 2 or 3 days in a row getting into my my hibiscus plants. They're like, well, hey, you're a nice guy. You're not gonna sting me. You're not gonna kill me. And enjoy yourself. But
exactly. Yeah. Bees get a bad rap, but they're great.
Some of them are good. Bumbles are good.
Yes. Yeah. We definitely. It's really sweet. Actually, I'll go out in the morning, and bees sleep on flowers. So I'll go out sometimes in the morning, and there's a bee asleep on a flower. And so I'll just leave it be and have it enjoy its little nap.
Oh, wow. What happens when we have dry years, and do you irrigate, or how do you irrigate?
Right. So we don't have an irrigation system in terms of automatic like a normal farm would. I do typically water by hand, but we have some timers and different sprayers that we use as well.
Rats are out of time. What's your website?
122farm.com.
There's the number's 1.2.
So the written out 12.
The number 12.
And then
period,
the number 2.
Then
farm.com.
.com. All right, Dana Nowell, what a hoot. This has been a lot of fun. I wish you lots of luck.
Thank you so much.
Check that out one day. All right, everybody, get ready for talking about war Friday with Dr. Glenn Antizzo. See you then. Bye.
Talking, I see your lips.